I'll run through this one. So first of all, I guess you have to be a little bit careful. Don't know if somebody internally did this one or this came from your customer, but the drawing that we have here doesn't really match up with the dimensions that they're showing. So this should be 1 and 5/16. That's 1.3055. That should be 2. That's 2.007. So little things like that, which will kind of throw things off a little bit. So what I did down here was redrew what should be the top profile in red up here. So this 3 and 9/16 is now actually 3 and 9/16, and all the other dimensions will line up with what's shown by the numbers, not the actual drawing that they have up here. So that would be that. And then for the bottom, which is this one here, basically what I did, I'll just delete this one here, is once I had my top geometry, just use my copy command. You can do Shift C, or I'll do copy and take that, and I'm just going to drag it down here somewhere. And then the top and bottom geometry are basically shifted by 0.9373, or 4.5 minus 3 and 9/16, which is actually going to be, let's see, 4.5 minus 3.5625. I used to know all these numbers off the top of my head, but so it actually should be 9375, just a couple thousandths of an inch. But anyway, so what I did down here to get the bottom geometry was selected it, and then I used my move command, base point, just click wherever, and then since I have my ortho command turned on now, as long as I move my mouse to the left, I can just type in 0.9375. So that should be, if I measure, say, from here to here, and look down here, we have change in X, 9375. And then I can use the stretch command to get this edge to line up with this edge like it should. So under the transform submenu, we've got stretch, and I'm going to left click and drag a box from left to right here, and just, or right to left here, and just select that, hit enter. Base point, I'll just click on this corner, and again, since I have my ortho button on, if I move to the right, I can just type in 0.9375. So that's going to stretch it now so that these two edges are lined up. If I want to verify that, I can do my measure command again, and my change in X is 0, which is good. So now, of course, this part over here, we're not actually going to be cutting this. This is just going to be a reference that we're going to use to give us the toolpath here. So it's a little bit tricky when the bottom geometry actually doesn't exist. It's off here in space, and we'll have this void here at the bottom. So we basically have to draw some sort of a bottom geometry that we'll be able to use so we can connect the top and bottom toolpaths when we get to that point. So I'll just erase that dimension for now. So now that I'm at this point, I got my top and bottom geometries. Can go to my cam tab, and we'll go into 3D5X. And on the tools tab, I can use the import command, and we're going to import the top geometry. Keep original, I usually say yes in case I need it again. So there's our top geometry. On the CAD tab, we have the extrude function. So down here, prompting to select curve, so I can just drag a box around everything, hit enter, and then that's the thickness of my material, and then which way you want to go, up or down, and we'll go up. So that would be the top geometry if we were doing it vertical, which we're not, but we'll get to that. And now we'll go ahead and import the bottom geometry. So we go back to our Tools tab, Import, select this, move it to line up the bottom of the other part here. So on my CAD tab, I can use the move command, and we're going to select this and hit enter, and then we're going to go from this endpoint to the corresponding endpoint on the bottom of this part here. So that's what we're going to use as our lower curve to give us the angle that we need on the fingers here. So let's see, we'll go ahead and go back to our cam tab and pick curves. So for the top edge, I can just click on pick surfaces, and I'll click on the top of the part here and hit enter. And then for the bottom, I'll click on pick edges, and I can just click on that. So that gives me my top and bottom edges. And I'm going to click on T for toolpath. If you don't have one of the latest versions here, you have to close and then go to toolpath. On the toolpath button, click on the plus button to add our toolpath. So our upper curve, and we'll start at this corner here, hit enter because we're going all the way around the direction that you want to go, and then your lower curve. And then we can put our lead in and lead out in here like normal. So put that for our lead in and lead out. And iGEMS has made its best guess as far as where to connect points in here, and we're going to go through and kind of force it to give it the angles that we actually need on these fingers here. So cut type right now, mine's set to ruled, and we'll click on this edit button here. And in here we can go ahead and add additional connections, and basically we want to add connections at each of these corners, and then go through and modify the existing ones. So right now number 1 is this one here highlighted in red, and number 2 is that one here. We're going to add connections on these corners here. So I'll use my plus button and click on this corner, and we're connecting it to that corner down there, which when I do that, you see that's 32 degrees. And then you can do the same thing on this corner. Choose that and that. And then we'll put one here and there. So when I do each of these, it should come out to that 32-degree angle. So these ones on the bottom, you have to spin it around so you can get to those. So click on that and that. Okay, so that's good. So we're done adding connections, and then we're going to go through and modify the other ones here, like this one here. Right now it's at 0 degrees. If I click on this edit button, then I can, down here at the bottom, either press P on my keyboard or click on this, choose the point that you want it to connect to, which would be this corner here. Ignore that. So you see now that that's 32 degrees, and we'll do the same thing on this one here. So you can either click on these in the list, or you can click directly on the little vector here if you don't know which one it is in the list. And we'll do P again for point. And we'll do this one. Again, we'll have to spin this around so we can get to see the bottom there. P for point. doesn't seem to be causing any issues. Alright, and then from there it's going to go vertical and be vertical the rest of the way around the part there. And then, so down here at this end, we actually want to be vertical on this end. So if we, actually this one here that I went to that point, I'll have to change that. So we're gonna click on here, see if I'm able to pick this point down here at the bottom. I don't think I'll be able to because it's not a curve. So we're gonna change this and come back to that. And then this one here, so that one's vertical, so that's okay. So what we'll do here is I'm going to click on close. In order to modify this one, I'm going to change this, instead of ruled, we're going to do variable, and we're going to copy over all those ruled connections that we just made. And we'll go back here and edit again. So the variable selection, you have a little bit more power over how things are done here. So this one here, rather than going to this point here, we can click on the edit and we can choose point, and then you're able to choose points on the model versus just in the ruled command you can only choose points that are on the curve that you're trying to connect to. Alright, so we're at 0 degrees there, 0 degrees, and it's going to tip over to 32, and then it'll be at the 32 for the rest of the way until it gets down to here, and then we'll straighten up. So let's see what happens here. So if we go back to there, pause this, back up a bit. So we're vertical, and then once it makes that corner, then it'll start tilting over to 32 degrees, and then continue on. Slice that off there. So that looks good. Then we just need to set our lift between the cuts there and set our 0 point. So if I spin this around here, set my 0 point wherever I want on the part. If I'm just doing a single part, create it, and so on. And then of course once you have it at this out to this point, if you're just doing the single parts, set your order button, click on the part button, make sure the Z is 1.5, process, and we can do our simulation in here also. So that's that one, and I'll go ahead and make the other one. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.